Welcome to the Driver's Alert podcast, where we talk about all things related to driver safety. Our guest today is Lori Olson. She is the Fleet Sales Director for Pulse. In 2014, she was hired to launch a new direction for the company, from the dealership side into fleet. Lori's energetic personality has allowed her to confidently build relationships with companies and universities, successfully aiding them in reducing the quantity and severity of rear-end collisions by 50 to 88%. Lori lives in Indianapolis with her husband and 3 daughters. She regularly volunteers at the girls' school, is an avid water skier, and relishes opportunities to travel, which I do as well, and explore new campgrounds around the country with her family. So, Lori, thanks for joining us.
It's a pleasure, Rich. Thank you for asking.
Great, yes. So, kind of in general, just to kind of get a background here, because driver safety is a huge issue. And in fact, I just recently saw a statistic, I think it was on USA Today, they were talking about the most dangerous jobs. And I believe as a total aggregate number of fatalities a year, it was sales drivers and truck drivers. And it was pretty staggering number. So there's no question that driving a vehicle is probably one of the most dangerous things most of us do, and we do it every day. So when it comes to cars, vehicles in general, and just their evolution, we do see a lot of improvements in technology. Are there some things that you can talk to related to that?
Absolutely. I think over the course of the life of the vehicle, we've seen nothing but huge changes. I mean, when you think back 100, 120 years ago, cars that were being made didn't even have doors, they didn't have headlights. It was just a way to increase the mobility of people so that they could get to where they wanted to go faster in a more fun way besides a horse and buggy. And every generation you see an improvement, whether it's going faster or a prettier design, a more functional design based on the job that they're supposed to be doing. The size changes, but along with all that, you see the safety changes as well, like the addition of doors and headlights, seat belts, and those are just some of the basic things that were added until now where we're looking at really moving long distances, long hours. And the goal of keeping drivers safer, it gets harder and harder all the time because the automobile it's a tool. It's a tool for doing business better, not just for fun, but also, the necessity of moving a business to the next direction and keeping drivers safer, not just in your own vehicles, but in the communities around, is a hot topic. It's a priority. Yeah, it gets harder and harder all the time.
Yeah, and of course, I'm sure you're aware, you see the articles all the time about the driverless vehicle and that technology continues to improve, and it's probably farther away than we think, but do you see that impacting the fleet industry anytime soon?
I think we've already started to see how it impacts the fleet industry with the big trucks, as the beer commercial that you see a driverless truck actually delivering the beer, and the Uber drivers are going to be affected here pretty soon also. And it's a mobility movement, and at some point the drivers, I think again we're a long way out from truly integrating fleet to just having all autonomous vehicles, because you have to have all those other vehicles that communicate with the other ones on the road. But I definitely see it's going to impact and increase the mobility. It will increase the safety, and it's an exciting time. I think the next 50 years especially are going to be really, really interesting to see the adoption of all of the safety technology that's being developed now and taking it to the next step to where it can be used by a lot of people.
Sure, and of course, driverless vehicles probably still a little ways away. Until that time, we're still going to have a human in the vehicle behind the wheel. And so as the technology continues to improve, and the topic moving that really toward the fleet discussion, the things really don't change a whole lot. So, I mean, what do you see that's changing in terms of just overall maintenance of vehicles and developing better route efficiencies, idle time, gas mileage, things of that nature? Do you see technologies are continuing to make improvements, or are we running out of opportunities to continue to find more efficient ways to operate a fleet vehicle?
Well, I think by the time you stop looking at ways to improve the efficiency of the fleet, you're out of the game. right?
Yeah.
There's always a way. That's why we have vehicles that are now, we're trying to figure out how to make the cars drive themselves. You never stop improving. There's always a better way to do something and to make it easier to get the vehicles maintained. The better routes. Maybe there's new roads. Maybe there's always another and better way to do a job that makes it run smoother and more efficiently. And especially with the use of cell phones right now, to be able to make your drivers, your employees, even more efficient with their time and safer as well, because the more efficient you are, the safer you are, the more productive you are in being able to do your job. So I don't think we can ever stop striving to be better as people, better individuals, better at our jobs, better parents, better friends. I mean, there's always another way that we could do better. And once we settle for good enough, I think that just isn't an option.
Right. And you've mentioned in the past discussions that, managing a fleet is really hard work. And so, when a collision does occur, there is some incident. What are some of the components or elements of a company that is affected?
Well, once a single crash occurs, no matter the severity of the crash, everyone's going to be affected. It's going to have financial implications on a company. They're going to have to pay for the damages. If there's anyone that's damaged, there's workers' comp that has to be paid out. You have downtime of the vehicle. Maybe you have to find the hassle of a rental vehicle. So all of that has a financial implication on the company and the functionality of it. Not to mention, there's going to be changes in policies and procedures with any crashes, with any number, so you can help prevent it from happening again. It's living and learning and then doing better. And, maybe relationships are changed because of the change of policies and procedures. Change is hard. And employees in particular, when a big factor comes into change, like a new cell phone policy or the implementation of a new safety device on the vehicles, it can be difficult to change that out. But, the most important commodity that we have right now is time. It's precious. We never get it back. So, it's not just about the cars. It's not just about the mobility of the company and keeping everyone going, but the employee. The employee is what matters. And we want to eliminate those crashes to protect the employee and get them home safe every day.
You've mentioned in past conversations as well that driving a vehicle is usually, we know it's dangerous, but it's typically the accident that happens at work. I mean, it is the one thing that leads to the fatalities and the injuries that we see that lead to lost time and so forth. And you talk about, because the mission of your company, of course, is to prevent rear-end collisions, and you mentioned that it is the most common crash and also, of course, avoidable. What are some of the things that do lead to this type of accident, or no, we shouldn't call it accident, but collision? What are some things that lead to a rear-end collision?
Well, every crash is mostly based on human error. I mean, we're people,
Mm-hmm.
We are not perfect. So as a result, the majority of them are all human error. Now, what are the errors that we're making? That's a little bit more diversified. It seems really cliche-ish to say, Rich, but I mean, it's our phones, it's technology. We live in a very technology-driven society, and the information that we need to know, we can find out right away. There's no delayed gratification being able to get what we want right now. And as a result, our cell phones enable us to have that need it now, get it now mentality. And I think we're extremely distracted with our phones, even though they're helping us navigate where we want to be. I remember as a kid, my dad used to drive us around in the middle of nowhere, going from, park to picnic to different places around the state. And, in Indiana, there's some back roads that it's country road 250 north, or you're going east. And he would be able to navigate as just understanding geography, north, south, east, west. And I don't know very many teenagers that north, south, east, west helps them at all when they're driving, because they have their phones to tell them where to go, which direction to go. Granted, I would also be pretty lost if I didn't have my navigation up most of the time when I'm in a different city. It's extremely helpful, but it's distracting. And everything we do in our car is going to be distracting, unless we're just focused on driving. But, the key to being safer really is just being able to stay focused on the road. And because we're so dependent on technology, to still use the technology that we have, that will continue to enable us to be safer as we go. As far as being able to help prevent collisions, there's a lot of products out there. The technology has come so far to tell us where vehicles are in relation to where we're driving. So you've got forward collision technology, whether it comes from the OEM or it's aftermarket. You've got the lane markers to tell us, someone's coming into your blind spot or you're leaving. The interesting thing about our product, you mentioned, yes, we help reduce rear end collisions. There's nothing else out there on the market to help get anyone else's attention to stop hitting us. And if you want a bumper-to-bumper protection, so to speak, like a bit of a bubble, if you add forward collision, won't you want to add a rear collision avoidance while the vehicle is moving?
Sure. Yeah, it makes sense. And so, we've kind of walked around the topic, so let's go ahead and just get into what Pulse does. Can you kind of give us a little background of what Pulse is focused on, what the product looks like, and how it's used?
Absolutely. So there are a lot of really smart products out there that communicate with the vehicle and help with the current driver behavior. What our product does is gets the attention of other drivers behind yours. It is a module that actually connects to the wiring harness for the third brake light, and it causes it to pulse 4 times, and then it remains solid. What makes it different and how it gets the attention of other drivers is because it's different from most of the other vehicles on the road. The third brake light, it's there, it's visible. It was added back in the 80s to get other people's attention. The sad thing is we've gotten used to that third brake light, so when you modify it to do the pulsing, it gets the attention of drivers, whether it's the DOT testing, and NHTSA even did some testings quite a few years ago to see what would increase the reaction time of other drivers. And the third brake light pulsing was the one that actually had the biggest impact. And what we've seen with the other fleets that we've worked with, we're reducing rear end collisions 50 to 88% just by getting their attention and giving them an extra second to respond.
Wow. And what is the installation process like?
It depends on the vehicle, but the same device works on every vehicle and usually plugs in directly to the wiring harness at the third brake light, and it takes about 5 to 10 minutes.
Okay, wow, that's pretty easy then.
It is easy. I can do it, so it has to be easy. I am not a technician. I like to talk to people. I enjoy getting to know people, not necessarily working on cars, but I can do it. I've installed it on quite a few cars and done some demos, but I'm not the most efficient, but I can do it, so it has to be easy.
So is it basically based on the concept that it's something that's kind of disruptive, it stands out, it catches your attention?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we know that anything that's different usually gets attention, right? Whether it's the 3-year-old that has the really crazy, interesting outfit for the day, everyone's going to say, oh, isn't that cute, right? She looks different, she stands out. And the vehicle is no different. If you can change and modify your vehicle a little bit more, why wouldn't it stand out? I mean, there are vehicles that also have the chevron patterns on the back of their vehicles to get the attention of other drivers. You've got a lot of different things that even buses stand out. They have flickering lights that get your attention. School buses have flashing lights and an arm that comes out to get other drivers' attention. Hey, we're stopping. I need you to pay attention to me a little bit more.
And this is available throughout the American market, or?
It is, for the most part, it is just in the U.S. I have, I'm working with fleets across the country that are adding the technology in addition to a lot of the other products that are out there on the market to get that full round effect of safety. We don't really have any outlets in Europe just yet, so we'll see where that goes.
Okay. We're getting close here to the end of our time. Is there anything else you'd like to add about what Pulse does, or how people can learn more about?
Well, you can always look at our website. It's pulseprotects.com, and you can find me on LinkedIn, Lori Olson. I do handle all of the fleet sales here in the country, and I'm always looking to help people stay safer. You know, we've got quite a few dealerships that actually carry the product, so on the retail market, it's definitely available. And I enjoy working with fleets and just keeping everyone safer every day.
Okay, well, that's great. That's a really, it's a noble mission to be on, and driver safety is a huge topic, and like I said, we're affected by it pretty much every day. We're always getting in a car.
Indeed.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Lori, and I hope we can do this again very soon.
I would love to, Rich, and I love what you're doing here, keeping everyone apprised of all the different solutions that are out there. I think you're doing good work.
Okay, thanks. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Rich.
Okay.